is anything new here. What was it you were asking? I can't remember. What were you working on? Oh, the media folder. Yeah, the media folder. Okay. Oh, I found it. I don't know if so you saw the demos, Matthias, and I don't know if you saw the bugs in the media management. It didn't appear. Well, nobody saw that because it was subtle, but there is a big issue. Did you see the issue? The issue is that if you, so what I did, and I rehearsed that this morning and before the full demo, and it happened also again during the demo. So what I did is that at some point I added an image using a media field. I click on the upload button, okay, directly. It uploaded the image. Then later I added another image somewhere else. And the media that I added at first were not appearing. Maybe I did a mistake, but I could see the bug twice today. So we need to check that. I'll try to do a repro to be sure. So I was not doing any folder, just clicking on upload, and the next time I was going in the same pop-up, the previous items, they were not showing up. So I clicked on upload again, and I'm sure the items were there because when I did upload multiple times, well, I did add the plus on the media field multiple times, and I selected the same image, I got the same file name. That's weird. So okay, so here nothing new. Old should call. Hungarians, oh boy, yeah, they broke. I will show you the bug, it's interesting. So last week, so this one is about fixing concurrency issue. I think I'm just on dev. No, I show everything here. Add backpart GraphQL paging, pull request from David Eden. So now when you have a backpart and you extend that in GraphQL, you can filter, you can page the list of bagged items. We merged the coming soon theme, but we showed that last week already. We showed also that we merged Facebook authentication. So this one, background tasks, are merged. The background tasks PR from Jean-Thierry. Removing wrong references, so there was an unnecessary reference in the Facebook. Decouple the OpenID module from user roles module, PR from Kevin for decoupling the modules. Fixing the Facebook module which was broken because I assume I didn't fix some things, so we fixed it. Improving default content picker editor. What did I do? Yes, this is awesome. I will demo. Content picker editor. A ReCaptcha module was merged and contains form. ReCaptcha module contains login protection with ReCaptcha. It's beautiful. Implementing resource management configuration. This also awesome. Resource management config. I will show that. Dev branch fixing multiple select on content item picker. I just reported that and I fixed it. Then updating fluid version. Hungarian. Be careful of Hungarian. Hungarian is dangerous. Fix content filter input select. Fix content filters put select. Yeah, from Matthias. That apparently the filters in the content item page were not working correctly. I think reported by Antoine. Work on PRs, sort content types alphabetically in admin mode. Yeah, I noticed that too. Add missing test and project file cleanup. So Jean-Thierry changing things for Nick to be able to run his unit test. This is taxonomies, quick update on taxonomies, now it's merged. Run analysis reference, so I removed a reference from the templates which was not necessary. Fixing blog recipe image widget type. So I did a fix because it was not working, the image widget type was not working, but I did the opposite fix. Actually something was missing and I just reverted one of the changes, so I did the wrong fix. I think James will provide the correct fix, that's what he said. Update UserInfoController to support mapped claims when using JWT as the access token format. Oh, so I assume this is Kevin who merged it? Yes, because I didn't think I'd merged that. So I'll trust them. And the last merge was from Michael, which is fixing the role claims which were broken, so you could not authenticate using something different. Well, you could not go to the admin side using a different user because the roles that you would add to the new user will not flow on the user cookie. So now it's fixed. Any other demos? Yes, I'm sharing the screen, and Derek is the only one not to be able to see it, because if everyone can see on my screen, I can see who can see and Derek can't see. So Derek, maybe the best thing to do for you is to disconnect and reconnect, because I can see that everyone can see. Why is that? I don't know. Then other demos I'm missing. Matthias, any demo? Or still working on your new feature? Okay. David, let's encrypt demo or next time?
No demo.
No demo. That's okay. New website demo?
Maybe soon.
You are making new sites. That's awesome.
Yeah, we got some cool stuff going on. So
great. And yeah, you are doing weird stuff with the middleware filters. I don't know why you need that, but I think okay, man. I saw
that's for it's a thing called JS report. It like takes HTML and converts it to PDF. So
okay. Okay, demos, because I have some demos. It was Thanksgiving last week, which means I had 4 consecutive days of not working, or 5, which means I worked a lot on Orchard, and I started with Content Picker Editor. Let me show you how it works. And you know what? I will reuse the solution I had this morning because it should work the same there. If I go there and I go to there, this way it will be faster. No, you should not do .NET how I'm stupid. .NET Run or .NET Dat. That is faster. Okay, so this is a site from this morning, and if I go there and I go to content definition and I say content types, and I will go in the blog post and I will add a content picker field. Oh, maybe I will show also the bug with the media if I can do that also. So content picker field, I will call it references. Okay, I can say I want references on blog posts, so this has not changed. There is a standard editor. What has changed is that the new standard editor now, if I go to a blog post, here references, you see type to search. This is the same thing as before my change. You can see the other blog post, and if I type, for instance, and must enter, so we have one item. And I must have selected just one item, okay, and then I can't type anymore. You see, and I can remove it, and then I can type something else, this one, and I can remove it. So if I go to the content types blog post references, and I say allow multiple, save, excerpt, and now if I take the first one and I click, I can take the second one, and if I select the first one again, it's there, so it's not added, and I can move them around and they will keep their order when we list them. Okay, so that's the new thing. We can order the items, and to do that I'm using two JS plugins. The one that was used before with the tags here, which is multi-view select, and this one is view sortable, the one that Jasmine is using also for ordering the enumeration field on the text field, enumeration properties on the text field. Okay, so this field here, Matthias, you see I have 3 puppies. If I click plus, they are there, but they were not there. I don't understand. Maybe I'm stupid. Okay. Okay, maybe there is no issue, but that's weird. I found the issue twice. So that's content picker. Then I have resource management config. Resource management config, the idea is that I won't be able to show it here with this demo. So let's create a new tenant. Okay. Oh yeah, I broke everything. I'm stupid. What is the issue? There is some caching issue here. It still thinks there is a page that looks like a bug. crazy. It finds pages. Looks like a bug. Maybe in the opt folder. Okay, I'm done with this one. Let's use this one. Okay, this is a blog, and I wanted to show. Yeah, so what I want to see here, if I go and view page source, you can see that it's using the min files here. You see cleanblog.min.css, and it's using the local. Here it's a CDN, so we'll see the differences when I change the settings. So if I go to admin, and I go to configuration, there is two new things. The use CDN, which is unchecked, okay, and this is in the case of a resource that doesn't specify if it has to be a CDN or not be a CDN reference. Let me show you. So if I look at the layout here, you see here script use CDN true. Okay, so the Bootstrap bundle is forced to use the CDN. Okay, and if I have another one here as an example, script CSS style Bootstrap. Okay, that's where that we set for. Okay, let's look at the Bootstrap CSS here. It's true, and here this one doesn't say, that doesn't use the CDN. So if I look at the source for the CSS of Bootstrap, you see Bootstrap CSS, it's taken from the CDN. If I say false, it's not taking it from the CDN anymore. It's taking the local resource we have. Okay? And now if I say nothing, it's still using the local. But now if I check use CDN, it's using the CDN. So this is a new setting that will let you decide which assets it can or it should take if you don't set anything in the layout, if you don't specify it in the layout. So this is the most flexible way. And I assume that in this case, if we should not in our default template decide if it should be true or false. We should just let it this way and let the configuration work. So that's something we need to work on. I thought I had removed them, but apparently I missed these ones. So we should not set them, even if we just have one or the other, because if there is no choice, whatever you say, it will take what it has. And this is based on what we define in the resource module for the existing resources we have. So that's the first thing to show. Then there is the resource debug mode. So on top of the CDN, then you can decide if you want to use the min or the minified or non-minified version of your scripts. By default, it will use the environment. For instance, if you're in development, it will use the debug version. And if you're in production, it will use the minified version. This is the default. But you can force it to use debuggable version. So if I say that, it should use the non-minified version. So if I go there, F5, where this one, for instance, should not be minified, but I link to the minified, so that's a bad example. Again, this should be a resource where we say this is the minified, this is the non-minified, and it will take it automatically. So where do I have an example for that? Script name. The script name should work. So bootstrap bundle. Bootstrap bundle, you see here, it's using the local one because I didn't check the UCDN, and it's using the bundle.js. Now, if I go on the admin and say I want the debug mode disabled, oops, sorry, F5, the bundle is the min one, okay? Again, apparently it's only available on the CDN, this one, so it will use the CDN one. And if I say from environment, and here I'm on dev environment, so it will just take the debuggable one. Okay, and if I was to publish it, then it will take the min one. You want to force it when you want to test your site before you debug, because maybe there are issues, and you might have issues because when you deploy, then you will use a different script, the minified one. So you might want to force it to always use a production when you test your site. Good. So that's it. Then, nope, that's not what I wanted to do. I need to catch the icon. Show me here. Did I miss something? Yes, you missed things. Then, one note, Hungarian. So Zoltan had an issue, which is that his templates were not rendering anything. It was blank. The issue was that when you look at a template like this one, okay, we have a zone header, and we have that. And then there is this one. So I debugged it with him to see what it was doing in Liquid, because it was in Liquid the issue. So when you look at hands-on, what his computer was doing is that when we pass the Liquid, we find a start tag zone, and then we will continue to get the content as the inner content of the tag until we find a tag that is end with the name of the tag here. So the code is something like tag.name.starts with end plus tag.name, something like that. Okay, or name, something like this. And name in this case will be zone. Okay, but what happens when you are running a Hungarian computer is that if you type this thing, okay, so what should be the result? Aha, the result should be true, and the result is true. Either you run on a Hungarian computer or any other computer, well, at least English one. Then if you type that, the result is false, which means it never found the end of the zone, so it was never rendering anything because the script was invalid. ND doesn't start with end. That's crazy. NT starts with end, or end anything else start with end when you're running on a Hungarian computer. So the issue is that I got an answer from the experts here on encoding that DZ is taken in Unicode as one char, which is not D or Z, it's a DZ char. And apparently DZ in Hungarian has a special pronunciation, but still should be taken as two chars, but no, in .NET it's one. If you ask for the length of that, you still get 4, but if you say does it start with end, it will say no. That's weird. So in the end, the solution is that whenever you do start with or equal to string, you need to pass the comparison, and in this case the solution was to use an ordinal comparison, so it will be culture insensitive. Okay, not case insensitive, but culture insensitive. I fixed Frid to do that, and now it works also on Hungarian computers. That was the story of the day for localization. Taxonomies has been merged. What I added in taxonomies, let me show you how it looks like for those who haven't seen that. It's beautiful. So you just have to enable the module. There is no recipe that enables it by default. We might want to do it for blogs by creating 2 taxonomies. One will be called categories, that we might use with Live Writer, and another one might be called tags, to be able to create tags with taxonomy. And for that I will create a custom editor to be able to edit tags using taxonomy. So there will be a taxonomy called tags, and one field editor that will be open, so you can type more things, and I will use the multi-view select for that. So if I go to taxonomies, and so Matthias, just for you, you see here, blog main menu, perfect. Now I want to create a taxonomy, so I will do new. Well, first I will create a type for my taxonomy terms. I want to create a color content type, and I want to give it to be able to edit the title. Okay, beautiful. One change I did also, and also broke something else, is when we add the title, it will be first automatically. So I save it, and now if I do and my color, I don't want to be creatable, blah 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 blah. I want to say that, so I don't see color here. That's fine, but I can create a taxonomy. So I will create a new taxonomy of colors that I will call colors. I can give it an alias, but nobody cares. Colors, and here I want this thing to be a taxonomy of color, and now I can add colors. So now I will say blue. I will add a sub color which is called light blue. I will add a new top level color which is red, and the sub level color which is light red. And you can reorder the things. Okay, say light blue is under light red, but that's wrong, so I will put it back on blue. Okay, and it's draftable, so you can have a draft. It will be localizable when we have localization, so everything is beautiful. Taxonomy is one content item. All these sub content items are composed in the taxonomy content item. So if you load the taxonomy content item, you have access to all its terms directly. They are content items, so I can customize which fields and parts they have. They are edited as content item, but they are part of the taxonomy document for performance reasons. We also have an index to query every term, because we have an index that does that. And now let's say I'm on this page and I want to edit my taxonomy. I need to go to content, and here, this is my comment I made last week or this week, Matthias. I like to have content items go on the content items page. Now here I have to click content items and taxonomy. I want a link called content items that shows the previous this thing where I see all my content items. And if I want, I can filter, but I will access that. And then by content types, maybe, where I can see all the types if I want that. That's it. And so I go there. And now if I go to content types and I go to blog post, I add a field because I want to categorize this blog post with a field here. I will call it I could have a primary color which could accept one single element, and then another field called other colors with all the colors, but here I will call it colors. Taxonomy field. From the taxonomy field, you have to select which taxonomy. I only have one, so color. You can say if it's required, if you can have only one selection, or if you can select only the leaves of the taxonomy. I will do none of these. So if I go to my blog post, you see now I have colors, and I'm using the nice checkbox from Jasmine. Okay, and you can say blue and light red. You can publish it. I don't think, maybe we render it by default on the blog post. No, we don't render that by default on the blog post. I thought we did actually, that's weird. For the blog post, we are not. But there are some helpers that I documented. So if I go on taxonomies, did I document it? Yes. Taxonomies, optional helpers, get taxonomy term async, which will give you the content item of the term here, based on the taxonomy ID and the term ID, content item IDs. Get inherited terms async to get all the terms based on one. So you give a term ID and it will give you all the parent terms. Query categorize content items async. This is to query all the content items which have a specific term attached to a field. And then liquid tags. This is a nice example I can use here then. So I prefer to provide some examples. And this taxonomy is not easy to manage, to maintain, because you need to get the taxonomy. So this colors is the field. It has access to two properties, which are taxonomy content item ID and term content item IDs, okay, which is a string array, because you can have multiple terms on a field. I very like the way this filter works, because you can pass a field directly, if you want, to the filter taxonomy terms, and because it knows it's a taxonomy term field, it will automatically find the taxonomy and the terms to map that to the content items, which are the taxonomy terms. So you have access, you see, in colors. Colors is the field piped to taxonomy terms, and this is each content item, so you can render the display text or anything in the color. And this example is how to display the hierarchy, all the inherited terms from the term. The idea is that if you have here this one, light red, it will also tell you it's also under red. So red will also show up. Okay, so that might be useful, or to go back to create a breadcrumb or the menu based on that. That's very useful. Yep, that's how it works. And the taxonomy index is the table that contains all the tagged elements. So here you will have access to the name of the field, the name of the part for the field, the name of the content type. Usually content type and content part are the same. The content item ID of the categorized content. In this case, it will be the blog post content item ID. Taxonomy content item ID is the ID of the taxonomy itself, and term content item ID is the ID of the term inside the taxonomy content item. And with that, we can do all the queries we want in SQL. It's also indexed in Lucene. There are two fields in Lucene, one containing only the terms that are checked, and one field called inherited plus the name of the field, which contains also all the fields inherited from the selection you made. That's it. The last thing related to taxonomy that I can't show because it's still work in progress is this branch, routable, which actually I forked from taxonomies, so it has more than just routable. But this commit here is showing a way to route a taxonomy term directly from the front end, even though it's an inner content item of a taxonomy. So I had to create the concept of a routable index, which is the same as the auto-route index, but it has more things because the path will point to what is the content item ID we are pointing to, so the term itself, the root content item ID which contains this item somewhere in its hierarchy, the JSON path which is the path to go from the root to this content item ID. If, for instance, it will be taxonomy part dot terms square bracket 012, so to get to the content item ID. And with this table, we are able to register custom routes for that. That will call the content controller, the item controller in the contents module, to render the specific root content item ID and this JSON path. So it will be able to load the taxonomy, extract the term content item, and render it on the front end. So it's working, but I have duplicate a code for autoroute and that, and so I think I will remove some code from autoroute, but this will break sites. So I will also need to make an upgrade so that autoroutes are converted to routable things. And autoroute will just be about generating a path from a template. And then this thing will be responsible for making it routable. And we already talked about it. And maybe I will also go to the next extent, which is also merge with alias, because alias is like autoroute with. So autoroute is alias plus routable. So maybe we don't need we need one of them that to go away, autoroute or alias, because we can also generate the alias from a pattern. And then we can just have a property which says, oh, is it routable? Yes. Okay, then create a route for that. So we might not need auto route anymore, which would be nice. Less things, better things. And the trick is that I found I worked for like 3 days completely on that. It was crazy. The idea is that yeah, so many issues because we can't detect that the content item is published because it's not published. It's a sub-content item of a content item. So there are so many issues with routing and everything. I did the thing like 5 times, every time finding a new issue that invalidated the way I wanted to do it. And I'm still not super satisfied with the duplication of code and how things work. But that's also a way to think about how it's architected, and maybe we are missing some things. So I will go on with that branch, and the same thing will be able to I will be able to reuse it then for bags. So we'll be able to point directly to a bagged item. That will be super useful also, because today, if you want something to be routable from the front end, you can't put it in a bag because it's limited. So you will be user list, but maybe you just want a bag. So now you won't have to this limitation, so you will just be able to think in terms of list and bag as how do you want to model your content and not how you want to render it. That will be great. Maybe there are questions I missed. There are. So taxonomies, and I think that's it. I think that's it. Based also on taxonomies code, I will add the. Let me show you. Because when I did the taxonomies, I implemented something in YesSQL to be able to have scoped indexes. So I will show you what it looks like. You know YesSQL indices, so taxonomy, this thing. Not this thing. This thing? Yeah. Taxonomy index provider. It's an index provider for a content item. So whenever a content item is saved and published, then we look at the content definition and look for a field of type taxonomy field. So does the type of this content item have a field of taxonomy field? If it doesn't, we say, okay, let's remember that this type doesn't have any field, we don't have to process them again, and the next time we catch it, we will ignore that. And then for each field that is a taxonomy field, we get all the content item, the terms that are selected, and we create a taxonomy index record. Okay. So this is a way to index in SQL the field itself, the field data, which we could only do on Lucene right now before this feature. So what I will do is the same way I have a taxonomy index for each type of field. I will do an index to store the content in database also, so we can query it. So we won't have to use Lucene to query content items with fields. So there will be a table called text field index, one media field index, and so on. Yeah, that's how I will do that. Also, there might be an issue later for filtering if you want to do logical operators on two fields of the same type, because in SQL, I'm not sure SQL supports that, or I will have to change the way SQL does the query to support it. The same thing for taxonomy index actually, because today with SQL you say with an index, and if you do with again the same index, then you still have the same inner join, so it won't create another inner join. And here we want a left join and two left joins on the same table with different aliases. So I might have to change how SQL does the queries. From SQL directly it will be easy. So if you do a SQL query using dynamic queries, that should be easy. At least we have that. So I might not care then, because we have the correct SQL things. And we might not want to do a SQL query from code on dynamic data. That might not make sense. So I'm pretty happy with the results. Questions? Same logic for predefined list. What do you mean? The same logic as what?
Just to be able to index the values that we had in the predefined lists.
So predefined list is just an editor on a text field.
Yeah, but we need to, if I want to be able to retrieve those values on the front end, right now there's no way. But there you're indexing those values, so you can.
No, I will just index the actual values of the field.
Yeah.
Which doesn't know about what were the possible choices. If you want to get the possible choices, you will use a different API, which is the content definition API, to get the settings of the field of the type you want.
Can we do this with liquid tags? Because right now I tried, but no. Yeah.
In liquid you can't.
You can.
There is nothing to get the content type definition metadata. So create one, because it will be super easy, because the content type definition is a JSON object.
Yeah.
So you can just create the same way we have the content object or the query object. You can create a content definition object that will return the J object, and then you can do dot fields of type of parameter, so you can browse the definition. Then that's what you will do.
Yeah, this is why I was not sure. I was asking if it would be relevant.
You can do that if you want. Should be super simple. Look at it's just one liquid tag, one filter. I don't know if it's a tag or filter. Look at what we do for content and query. I can point you to that later. It should be super simple.
Thanks.
Good. So questions? Great. So next meeting's Thursday. Nothing blocking. Triage next Tuesday. Standard meeting also, no vacation, so that's good. In terms of new thing, I updated the roadmap. I updated the roadmap. Target, so taxonomy is merged, so we can ship beta 3. We're just waiting for .NET Core 2.2 to be done. So I updated what we did: background task management, GraphQL, Decouple CMS, taxonomies, custom navigation, admin tree, I called it custom navigation, Facebook authentication, ReCaptcha, mini profiler, recipe migrations, file-based content definition, coming soon themes, edit and display modes. This is what's new in beta 3, plus minus some features which either I forgot or I didn't think mattered to be done in the backlog. Then RC, I order them by priority. Content localization, which should be very important, which is very important for the RC and should not be that hard to implement. It's already designed. We need the admin theme to support RTL, okay, right to left display. We need to create some translation packages, localization packages, and I'm mentioning packages because I intend to see, I hope we can, and I think we can, to ship localization with a NuGet package, because for us, when it will be extracted from by project reference, it will just create the files in the correct folders for each module, or in the app data. We have to look at that, but probably in the app data. No, not probably in the app data because it's pertinent, but in the correct modules, we'll see that. But I mentioned also the language that we should have for RC in the priority order and what matters for our audience. So from my experience with Orchard 1 and Orchard Core, and please correct me if you think differently, I think Chinese is really asked, Spanish, Arabic, because we want a right to left language also, and this is also very requested, and we can see a lot of people in this audience. French, because we have so many French people speaking that will have it for sure. Antoine, I'm sure already that for Orchard Core, so that will be easy. The next one we could add would be Russian, because we see a lot also people Russian, and it's also based on the languages that the population that don't speak English and for which the English is a hard language. We can see that in Chinese, Spanish, and French people which don't know how to speak French, so they speak English. So that's why we care about them more than the others. Right? Like all these North European countries like Germany, Switzerland, sorry, not Switzerland, Sweden and Norway, they all speak English very well, so they don't need the English translation at first, but these other countries, they don't speak English, so we need to help them. Good? Yeah, Matthias, you speak English also. I know I'm not talking for you. You don't need that. Talking for, even Gabor speaks, nobody here, it's just for Antoine and myself and Jasmin. That's it. Okay, that's the next goal, so we are almost ready to ship. We find the bugs. Oh, fix P0, P1s. If you can do something, fix the P0, P1s. Don't work on new features, unless it's Let's Encrypt, but otherwise don't work on new features. You can, then this way we can fix and ship in time, okay? And then we can focus on the RC, which would be awesome. Thanks everyone, see you next week. Bye bye.